Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Red and White Show. Joining me for this one, Rovers striker George Miller and Club Doncaster media manager Liam Hoden. George, welcome to the show. It's been a busy schedule the last couple of weeks, a long trip to Newport, but a valuable 3 points nonetheless.
Yeah, went down, didn't we, on the Friday, made sort of a weekend of it, and good to get the win and then come back with the 3 points.
Just how big a win was it, given the previous two results? You know, not scoring as well in 2 games without a goal, and then the pressure's starting to rise a little bit, isn't it? And then you go into that one and get a priceless 1-0 victory. Yeah,
I think it's going off the back of 2 results. You start questioning all sorts and reading into it, but good to get a win from the lads, and then from a personal point of view, just playing well and keep doing what I'm doing really. And it don't matter if I don't score, Miley scored and took the 3 points for us.
What sort of messages was Danny Schofield putting across to the lads in that period where it wasn't quite going right? A couple of bumps in the road, but I suppose important to remember that prior to that, you went to Grimsby and perhaps the best result of the season so far.
Exactly, yeah. He talks about like fundamentals, doesn't he? And the key fundamentals of things. Colchester was probably not soft, but like a bit easier to play against. I don't think you can say about that against the last 2 games. Was a lot like won our individual duels, want to get them over like 50% winning your duels, and I think that relays itself into like performances and wins. So I think we did that.
In terms of Newport, they were on a decent run, 1 defeat in 6, but it always seemed like Rovers were the more likely to win it. I mean, you come in at half time, a couple of opportunities in the first half, with one in particular where Max has fired one across and Big O's an inch or 2 away, isn't he, from putting you a goal up. Was it a case of keep doing what you're doing, the goal will come eventually? Yeah,
I think you could see that the way we play. I think we were quite dominant and quite comfortable, really. We turned the ball in behind when we needed to, like relieved a bit of pressure. But I think the back lads defended quite well, especially like the directness of there. There was always like one man going up for the header, 2 covering round, and I felt that was quite like was secure. We weren't like panic stations really.
You've got 11 goals now in all competitions. We're heading towards that Christmas period. How would you rank the start you've made so far?
11 goals is I'm quite happy with at the moment. But obviously you'd always want more and you'd be greedy. But as long as I can keep getting chances, I want to be scoring goals. So fingers crossed we can keep creating stuff and keep pushing on now, kicking on.
Liam, the trip to Newport was one where you really felt the cold weather, didn't you? It's when you knew that winter was well and truly here. But how well did Rovers do in managing that game? They went a goal up with still more than half an hour left on the clock, and to grind it out as they did, really without any real threat on Johnny Mitchell's goal.
Yeah, I think it was only that last 5 minutes of the game in all that there were really kind of any pressure. Anything before that, as you say, really well managed. I think that was the most impressive part of the performance. Touching on the stuff that there's been criticism over in the previous couple of games, those fundamentals that George mentioned, that Danny mentions an awful lot. They took care of business on that front really, really well, and got that deserved win.
And a clean sheet as well, something we've not seen an awful lot this season. To do it against a Newport team who had Omar Bogle up top, the headlines were almost written before the game had even started, but he didn't really do an awful lot.
No, kept very quiet, and I think, again, praise to everybody involved as well, the fact that a pretty new look back 3, in terms of you've got 2 players in there that not that used to playing in those positions in Kyle Nolan and Tommy Rowe, but this development of the team, everybody knowing each other's roles and things like that, that's going to produce more performances in that front, so it's good success there.
Time for the latest quickfire round now then, and club captain Tommy Rowe is next up to tell us a little bit more about himself.
Tommy Rowe, I am 34. Born in Manchester, raised in Wythenshawe. First team I played for was Unicorn Athletic, Manchester United. Ryan Giggs. So probably Saka in the England squad now. Obviously, what he's been through over the last few years, and seeing him, in full effect now and on the big stage, doing really well. It's good to see. Easy, scoring at Old Trafford, playoff final, header, ball came in, just flicked it. So it's not a great goal, but being at Old Trafford and everything, that being a United fan. Best mate in football is Joe Lewis, probably, who plays for Aberdeen, goalkeeper. Favourite place to eat? Probably Nando's. Yeah. Indian. Yeah, it has to be an Indian. stuck in a room with Big O. Apart from that, losing on a Saturday destroys me. Well, I learnt to juggle in lockdown, so yeah, and probably forgot by now, but yeah, probably juggling. My favourite sport, kabaddi. It's for Georgia. I think the last thing I watched was The Office, the American Office actually. So funny, brilliant, really good. You seen it? My little boy's listening to the Ninja Kids. 3-year-old puts Alexa on, Ninja Kids. Terrible, just a load of boys on YouTube who sing songs. So yeah, that's going on in my house at the minute. Watching Nativity yesterday. You seen it?
Yeah.
Mike Freeman?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, really good. Oh. Actors. I've actually been told I look like Guy Pearce before. Guy Pearce, and I don't know if that's a compliment, probably. Or is it Nick Jonas? Yeah, one of them two. Lookalikes. Turkey, Kalkan, beautiful, really nice. Well, I should be thinking about it at my age, shouldn't I, really? Yeah, probably a head coach or sporting director. Oh, so many. Yo-yos, shows my age a bit. Pokemon cards, remember them? Still going now, I think. Yeah, yo-yos, Pokemon cards, something like that. Realistic, or
As wild as you want.
just saying, I don't know, saying, imagine being able to understand all languages, every language going. So wherever you go, speak to everyone. Good one. Realistic as well. It's got to be Charlie Skills, hasn't it? You know, he trains like it's FIFA sometimes. So if I can learn a few of them skills, then it'll definitely help me out. Definitely.
George Rowe's lookalikes, he said Guy Pearce or Nick Jonas. How are you rating those? Which one are you leaning towards?
Very, very poor, I think. I think he's clutching at straws there. He wishes that maybe 15 years ago.
He says his biggest fear is being stuck in a room with Big O. Now, you and Big O are good mates, aren't you? You're roomies. Have you got a side to sort of balance that argument out a little bit and stick up for your mate?
No, I think he's jealous. Because he's getting older now and his friends might be dwindling, but he's always putting on me and Big O our friendship, every opportunity. Look at you two together and all that. I think he's jealous more than anything. That's where that comes from.
You and Big O, of course, 2 new signings. Would you have known each other before you came here, or has it been sort of a relationship that's developed?
No, not at all. Didn't know him. I played against him a few times, but not sports or anything. But coming here, I think we're quite similar as people, similar age and stuff like that. So we got along well, and obviously I room with him now, and making a good friendship, and that's a big positive, really.
Liam, we heard from Tommy there, and he's settled back in to the team, albeit in an unfamiliar position in that left side centre-back role. We've seen him play just about everywhere, haven't we, for Rovers? And he was so good, particularly at Newport. The ball came into the box, he's so good in the air, you back him to win it, and he almost scored up the other end as well.
Yeah, it's phenomenal in the air, and I think Danny Schofield's spoken about it. When that space opens up, he wants them to run the sort of the wide centre-backs, and Tommy Rowe, we know full well wherever he is on the pitch, if he can get that space opens up in front of him, he's going to run with that ball and cause problems, and we saw that at the weekend.
How important has it been having his sort of voice in there, not just the way he plays but the way he carries himself as well? He certainly leads by example, doesn't he?
Yeah, I've said before, he's an excellent pro on and off the pitch, and especially on the pitch. The more like wise edge you can get round you, and more like game understanding you can have, because he's played like 600 odd games, so he's on his way to that, so there's not many scenarios in a game that have come about when he hasn't been there before, and he can talk us younger lads through it. If I that's what I'd say.
Now, with another drop in temperature hitting the UK over the past week or so, the Rovers lads travelled to Paul Green's A1 Football Factory for a bit of indoor training ahead of Saturday's game.
it's been a XL, decel day, so very short spaces, so the team really working on them short dynamic movements, and what a better way to do it in a facility like we've got today. It's nice just to be able to take the players to an indoor facility and still train and get good work into them, because obviously there's a big game on Saturday and we don't want any down days really, and we've been able to keep that standards going with the XL decel day today. It's 7 games into it, and we're trying to approach it in a different style, and we're working on things every week, and obviously there's still a lot to do, but you can see what we're trying to implement onto the team.
Liam, the lads and the coaching staff having to find different ways, aren't they, of getting sessions and completed sessions at that? Yeah,
definitely. They were down at the stadium at the start of the week, doing a bit of work on the artificial surface, and then up to Greeny's place at Pontefract. Got to do it. I think it's been clear since Danny Schofield arrived at the club that there is no wasted minutes. You know, he's going to maximise the time that he's got, and whatever it takes to do that.
George, has that been arguably the biggest factor since his arrival? It's everything's done with a purpose, isn't it? You know, whether you're doing individual work and you're working on your shooting, or whether the defenders are working on who they're going to be playing against, every single thing that's done Monday to Friday is done with a purpose leading into the weekend.
Yeah, exactly. Since the gaffer's come in, everything's with a purpose, and you can see that going forward. And as players, you don't want to do stuff for the sake of it and go through the motions. You want everything to have a purpose and a meaning to it, and I think we can tell we're doing a lot more of that. Like the hours on the pitch is increased significantly, but it's only going to help us players, so there's no complaints from our end.
Is it nice as well to do a bit of something different? You know, you go to Greeny's football factory, it's not the same four walls, is it? Sometimes it can just break the week up nicely.
That's exactly what it is. I think I'm a massive believer in it at previous clubs as well. Like, it does get, not tedious, but like seeing the same four walls coming to the same place at the same times every week. I like a bit of a change, and it just mixes it up so it freshens you up for you mentally, and you just get a bit of a different stimulus, different place to train, just keeps you on your toes a bit, and I really enjoy that.
Yourself in the car school, it's probably 20 minutes closer to home as well. Always nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's getting closer towards our neck of the woods, isn't it? So can't complain with that.
In terms of Chad and Greeny, they've both come in, and Danny made a big point of wanting 2 more coaches, so himself and obviously Chad and Greeny as well. And that's big in terms of the training sessions, isn't it? We'll often in the office at County watch out, and there's always different things going on. There's almost that much going on, you don't know where to look first, and you do need that extra body for that, don't you?
Definitely, it's also going on. I've just seen that a lot more recently. When I've stayed in the hotel at nights and things like that, I'll be leaving the training ground at 4, and them lads will still be there, so they're earning the money. And I didn't realise, you don't understand how much goes on behind the scenes. It's not just show up on a Saturday and everything. They're putting in 10, 12-hour days, which is that's often because that's all for our benefit. It's not really their own benefit. And adding on from that, what you said, Chad and Greeny coming in, the good people, and that's first and foremost. Besides coaches, having good people around the lads, around the place, it helps the environment, and it helps me prepare better having Greeny around me.
Now, Liverpool loanee Max Woltman started back-to-back league games for Rovers for the first time this season in recent weeks. He feels he's just finding the right rhythm heading into the Christmas period.
How have you found it? First back-to-back league games, league starts of the season. You must be starting to feel that little bit of rhythm in your play now.
Yeah, it's been good. I think the first game we did lose, but I felt like I had played well and I was getting on the ball and trying to do my thing. And then obviously on Saturday we got the 3 points and I feel like I played well, so it was good. It feels really nice to play back-to-back and see if the manager can put his faith in you.
a fair big gap between Grimsby, Colchester, then Walsall. Did that training period allow you to get used to what the manager wants, and then when you got the starts against Walsall and at the weekend again, you've got that understanding, haven't you, of exactly what he expects?
Yeah, 100%. I think just getting the training every day with the lads, knowing what the gaffer wants and knowing how he wants you to play and what he thinks you can do, and I think just trying to reciprocate what he's telling you to do. So you're putting that in, and obviously if he likes what he sees, then he's gonna trust his players.
You've had to be patient, haven't you? It's fair to say you've not had it all your own way since you came in. There's been a change in manager. How have you found that? I suppose you've pretty much ticked off everything in the last 3 months in terms of things you're going to experience on your first loan.
I think it's really good, to be honest. I think that's one of the main reasons you come out on loan, to experience these different types of things, and I think the change in manager, that is something that happens a lot, especially in League 2 football, so I think that's just kind of getting used to the men's side of the game and the league football.
In terms of the last couple of games, you've got the game against Walsall, which was disappointing, but then to get the win against Newport, a long trip down there, and then you've got the start, and probably your best performance, would you say, so far in a Rovers shirt?
I think to go to a place like that, as far like it was a big journey on the road for us. It's a difficult place to go, and especially they're in a good run of form with their new manager. So I think it's 3 points unbelievable, and to do it with, I feel like it's a good performance from myself and the team as well. So it makes it an even better feeling, and hopefully move on to Harrogate and get another 3 points.
Yeah, it's another big game this weekend, the Yorkshire Derby, and then we're heading into that Christmas period, aren't we? Your first really in men's football, isn't it? Is it something different to what you normally have with the 23s at Liverpool?
Yeah, 100%. It's a lot different because the games are quite full on. It's Saturday, Tuesday, quite often. So, but I think I really like it because you're playing football constantly and there's no time to rest really. So it's really enjoyable, and there's a lot on the line because these are the deciding times, and I think it's going to be a great period for me and the lads and the gaffer. So hopefully we can get all the games and the wins we can possible.
Yeah, that Christmas period can sort of make or break a team's season, can't it? 2 or 3 wins in a short period of time. I think we're 2 points off the playoffs at the minute. If you can put 2 or 3 wins together in that space of time, you're all of a sudden right at the top there.
Yeah, most definitely. I think gaining a bit of momentum over Christmas, it's really good going into the new year, and I think it just kind of gives you that momentum and the lift that you need. So I think if we do well over Christmas, then it'll be great for the team.
Liam, Mac's just starting to find his feet, isn't he? And I suppose at any new club it can always take time, but he's taken advantage of 1 or 2 players picking up knocks in recent weeks, and particularly against Newport, there are a couple of flashes and showing us what he's capable of. Yeah,
the amount of managers that will say, you've got to be ready to take your chance, and he's had to wait a bit longer than most, but he has been there, and he's produced it over these last couple. He's shown all that sort of exciting element of his play that we were expecting of him, that he's not really had a chance to show. So he's been ready. I know that Danny Schofield's spoken to him, one-to-one and about being patient and getting ready to take the opportunity, and he's done really well, and he's got a good shout of continuing to keep his place in the team.
George, you'll have been in his position when you can go out on loan, and he's had it difficult. The manager's changed, and he got a start, didn't he, against Leyton Orient? I think you were up in the press box for that one. Came on at half-time, and then started at Carlisle. But the touches in that game were glimpses of exactly why he was brought to the football club, and then the manager changes, and you sort of start from scratch again, aren't you, a little bit? So put yourself in his shoes, how difficult can you imagine that's been for him?
It's very difficult. I think as a young player, we've all been through it. Young player on loan, you sort of down the pecking order immediately. First, you're down the pecking order in age, and second, you're not the club's player. You can get seen as sometimes, and I've had that in my career. And you might feel like everything's against you, everything don't want to do well. But like you said, in football changes in a matter of days. You know what I mean? So we saw him at Leyton Orient, watched that game. He was really good that second half, and then he sort of pushed on from there. So it's just about biding your time, being good around the place, because if he's sulking around the place and things like that, he's never going to get his chance. So he's got about doing the right things to, when that opportunity comes, being his best place to take it.
And there's a reason he's been given first team appearances at Liverpool, isn't there? He's obviously got the quality and the calibre to do well. It's just having that belief to do it on a consistent basis in the EFL now. Yeah,
I think a lot of lads are having debuts of Dover away and stuff like that. He's at the San Siro, isn't he? So in that aspect, he's got to count himself lucky, but he's got a great platform and a great career ahead of him, I think.
Liam, in terms of Harrogate then, the next test, a bit of a Yorkshire derby, isn't it? Although many people won't be bigging it up as one that when Rovers have gone to Grimsby or Bradford earlier in this season. But it's a big game for both clubs. You look at where Harrogate are in the table. Rovers now, after that win at Newport, just a couple of points off the playoffs. All of a sudden, you win this and going into that Christmas period full of confidence.
Yeah, both teams looking to get ahead of what's quite a congested pack. You look down at the bottom end of the division, there's quite a few teams within touching distance. Nobody's really cut adrift at that point. Harrogate just hovering above it at the minute, and they will be looking to pull away from it. And as you say, Rovers looking to cut that gap to the top 7. It should be a competitive game.
In terms of the home form, George, a little bit scratchy of late, I think it's fair to say. How important is it that you start to make this place a fortress again?
Yeah, it's picking up points anyway. You don't mind where they are as long as you're picking them up. But yeah, on paper, people say it's easier at home. So I think we're doing it away from home. So we need to bring that form back here and make it a bit of a fortress, like you say, and just start getting points on the board.
And people made a lot of this run of games against teams who in the bottom half of the table. Can you take that into account when you're preparing, or do you just have to play the game on the day?
I don't think you can really take that into account. We were speaking about this with Big O today. Like in this league, I think anyone can beat anyone. As you go higher up the leagues, there's less and less bankers, if you know what I mean. Like so, I think at this level, you don't take anyone for granted. Each game as it comes, and each game's going to show something different. One week you might play against total football. One week you might play against total long ball. You know, so you've got to adapt to that and just be equipped to deal with what comes.
It's a big break between Harrogate and Tranmere on Boxing Day, and then you've got 3 games in less than a week, Liam. So how do Rovers prepare for this? Because you know what it can do for you. 3 or 4 wins on the bounce, and it can act as a massive springboard, can't it? Playing at those amount of games in a period where normally it'd take you a month to play that many.
I think the focus will be being in the best condition possible for when that Tranmere game comes round on Boxing Day. You know, using that week wisely to rest, recuperate, but you know, get up to speed where you need to be. Hopefully 2 or 3 players back as well for that period. We'll see coming into this weekend if there's anybody who's been out recently coming back into it, but you know, getting a few players back will certainly help in that period. We should hopefully have that.
George, this is the final game before Christmas. What does the Christmas period look like for you? It's full of sacrifice at this time of year for a professional footballer, isn't it? All the good things that come with playing the game that you all love, but then at this time of year it's sort of not having as much turkey as everybody else around the Christmas dinner table. Yeah,
single figures, pigs in blankets. But yeah, you've got to make sacrifices. But as footballers, you know, we can't moan and complain because there's a lot of people who want to be in our position. So it is a busy time of year, and like Liam said, when this year, in this period, the league table can change quite significantly because you've got like 2 months worth of fixtures basically in a month to 3 weeks. So we've just got to knuckle down, make them sacrifices because it's only going to pay dividends like in the long run for us. So fingers crossed, get our foot down over this period.
Yeah, you'll be in early on Christmas Day as well. At what point you sort of trying to enjoy your time with the family, but at what point on Christmas Day are you then thinking about Tranmere the day after? Well,
we're in training in the morning, aren't we? So that's doing it right really. Then going back home, and then literally it's just focusing on, I don't want my missus to say this, but I'll be focusing on Boxing Day, give a little token gesture at presents, and then kick on from there. And how do you see this one going at the weekend then against Harrogate? A big chance, isn't it, to give everybody a very happy Christmas with 3 points? Exactly, you want to win this, and it makes you the next week a bit better for you. You don't want to go into Christmas on the back of a loss. So fingers crossed we knuckle down and get a result against a good side. Liam, how do you see this one going? Have you got a score prediction for us?
I do fancy Rovers winning this one, and probably a comfortable one as well. I think there were a lot of elements that we saw at Newport that showing that further progression and that little bit of steel were nice to see as well. So I'm going to go for a 3-0 win, just a nice pre-Christmas bonus. Go on then, George. Are you going to give us a prediction? I'll take that. 3 goals for Miller. I'll be more generous, 3-2. I'll take all 3. George, Liam, thank you for your company. Thank you at home for watching on as well. Get down to the Eco Power this weekend. The final game before Christmas. It's a Yorkshire derby as Rovers take on Harrogate.